And thank you so much for joining us here this morning during this very busy Frieze week. My name is Daria Khan. I'm the founding director of Mimosa House. Mimosa House is a non-profit institution that supports women and queer artists. So today is a very special morning because one of the assistants to Claire Fontaine is with us all the way from Palermo, Fulvia Carnevale. So Claire Fontaine is a collective artist, now based in Palermo, founded in Paris in 2004. So this is their first solo exhibition at an institution in the UK. So we're very honored to host Claire Fontaine. Their exhibition is called Showless. And I guess that's what we're going to start with. My first question is about the title.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you all for showing up at this indecent time in an impossible day in the middle of the week. It's a miracle you're all here, so I'm really grateful, and I'm grateful to Daria, of course, who immolated herself in this exhibition. Really, she worked a lot, and to all the amazing team of Mimosa House and their patrons, their supporters. It's a little miracle for us to be hosted by an institution that is so inspiring. I mean, the show was, the title came from quite a dark time that we've all gone through, in the sense that there's been a lot of censorship in the contemporary art field. That is not a field that shines for its courage, but indeed should be a space for innovation and for the expression of the things that cannot be expressed in the other parts of society, in the sense that even the humanities cannot express the subconscious and the profound and deep disquiet or longings that we go through as a civilization, as a culture. And this has always been the task of art, especially of contemporary art, that emancipated itself from its function of serving the power. It doesn't serve anyone. It really is the expression of the deepest emotions that shake our society and us. So Showless was a ironic, funny way of tackling this situation where one cannot really show everything that one thinks, even if we are in presence of a lot of abuse, a lot of violence on the part of our governments, and this reflects on our personal lives, because when something happens on the large scale of society, it reflects on each of our lives, especially as women, queer persons, persons of color. We are the first receivers of everything that goes wrong, every form of violence that comes from above. There's been a casualty. Anyway, and yes, and Showless is what men can say to women or queer people who want to be sex positive and use the freedom that they finally have and maybe go out less covered than they used to. So there is a whole idea of what is decent. Is it decent to go around with less clothes on, or to express anger towards sexist insults by hijacking them and transforming them into a neon sign like father fucker? Or is it indecent to kill children or let 59 wars rage around the planet when we are just supporting an unsustainable system of extraction of nature and people? So it is a show, I would say, that tackles injustice mainly in our private lives and in life at large. In this moment, I think this is the real cosmic problem, I may say. It's injustice more than any other problems. Every other problem is explicitly and clearly related to injustice. When I was a child, and I'm now a certain age, in Italy, they used to say, you have to finish your plate because the African children don't have anything to eat. And I didn't know that the African children didn't have anything to eat because the government were repressing the revolts that were happening in their states. And this wasn't explained in my household by my grandmother mainly. But this is a short circuit that always interests me, because the hunger of the other side of the planet is used as a terror to you on this side, like the fear of the immigrants or the image of the starving African child that should make you feel guilty for not wanting to eat something that you don't want. We don't want a life like that. So showless, I would say, is an attempt to conjure fear in a moment where fear is running too many things. So
yeah, you touched on so many thematic threads that appear in the exhibition, so I don't even know where to start. But maybe let's start with L'Origine du Monde. So some of you might have seen the exhibition, the rest of the exhibition upstairs. So you commissioned 12 paintings, 12 copies of Gustave Courbet, L'Origine du Monde, and then what you refer to as like an act of vandalization with a spray paint. So so I'm quite curious to explore, because I guess it's the first word that comes to mind when I think about showless and the policing of women's bodies and the gaze.
Absolutely. So I will tell the story of how this work came about, this particular installation, actually, because we started to tackle this theme of vandalization with a very strong feminist approach, because we had picked already years and years ago for a postcard where we had spray painted on the postcard Me Too, hashtag Me Too at the time when the Me Too movement happened. And we had picked three art historical paintings where women are naked, but they are staring at the beholder. So it was Olympia, it was Le Déjeuner sur l'herbe, and it was La Grande Odalisque by Ingres. And we had, after these postcards, we thought about what we were actually seeing in this painting and what was decent, indecent, and how we could use this idea of vandalization that deeply disturbs us as artists, of course, because every artist has the nightmare of being vandalized, of being abused, because the artworks are going to survive us, right? Every artist thinks that way. So they're the most fragile and cared for thing. And so we started to work on this theme that made us uncomfortable, and we asked these specialized, amazing Chinese painters to make us copies, like real size copies of these three paintings, and then we spray painted them, and we spray painted the bodies, essentially, of the women, not only, but everything that we found disturbing, obscene, and insulting in these male gaze that structured the birth of these paintings that today we look at in a different way, because it's interesting how our sensibility changes through time. And so after that, we asked for a copy of L'Origine du Monde by Courbet, and we worked on that painting. And the reactions to that painting, because it was the original one that is not here, was very much covered. Like our vandalization really covered the sex of the woman, the genitals of the woman. I heard that sex is not the right term in English. I'm still learning English. It's incredible. Anyway, the reactions to that were extremely strong. And so we said, what if we multiplied this painting? What if we worked on this idea of difference and repetition? Because these copies are not all the same. And it's fascinating to see how the skills of these painters are really, they paint from scratch. So sometimes even the position of the body is slightly different, not only the color, but the way the hair is represented and copied. It's like a free, up to a certain extent, it's like a free copy. It's an exercise that is very human, this copying exercise. And once we had all these 12 paintings in the studio, our emotion was completely different, because we approached them as a positive, affirmative representation of a woman's body. And then all of a sudden we started to see what you probably see there, that these bodies accumulated look like they are cut out, chopped up, slightly mutilated, that this body might not be alive, that it's more objectifying repetition. It's kind of incredible the effect it had on us. We saw all this flesh represented like one after the other. And so the way we intervened on these paintings is much gentler, much more respectful. And we were also really interested by the fact that the paint being a fluid, gets polarized by the representation of this female body, and immediately it looks like something like lipstick or urine or blood or a bruise. Like there's no way for any color to be applied on this representation and not to give us the impression that it's related to, it's coming out of this body in some ways. It's so it's no longer an attempt to bring injustice into a space that is too much cared for, which was the first attempt, because the paintings receive more attention than certain human beings at this moment historically. We have human beings dying, innocent human beings being refugees, losing everything, and paintings are protected. There are shelters, they're warm in temperature regulated environments. And so the vandalization that is highly inappropriate and terrible, it's a desperate way to bring injustice into the place where it's most feared. So this we were interested in. But then in the end, I think these works talk about something else, about the higher injustice of how women's body are represented, and even when they are represented in a kind of subversive way, how this way of representing them is still polarized by what is going on within society. So I think it's a work that surprised us when we were making it, because it really sort of deviated from our initial project, and it was a learning experience of what we were doing. It's that's why it's amazing to have a studio. We are in Palermo now, we have a studio, and we can have these experiences that are really important.
As you mentioned yourself, your work is profoundly grounded in feminism, especially Italian feminism. You often quote Carla Lonzi, Silvio Federici. So, and I found your quote, which I wanted to ask you to kind of reflect on together. So you said that to be a feminist artist is not simply to depict feminist subjects, but to refuse seduction that destroys dignity. So I'm interested about this refusal, both aesthetically and ethically. How does it play out in your work?
Simple question. Very, very
But I
complicated.
thought about seduction also in relation to the regime du monde.
I think, yeah, totally, completely. So it's an amazing question, because what the right wing historically does is raping the crowd, raping our senses, using this kind of sexuality, mostly male sexuality, but we have a woman in Italy, we're always a little bit ahead in fascism. We are always the avant-garde of something horrible. We did it with Berlusconi before Trump, and now we're doing it with whatever. But yeah, so this thing of seduction is key for any totalitarian regime, right? When something appears as true because somebody that we appreciate said it's true, not because it is experienced as truth. So that's what we call a seduction that extracts our dignity. It extracts our capacity to be autonomous, to have a judgment in what we really experience and understand, each of us as a person. And that's what is going on the global scale, like the governments, by depriving us of our freedom, by deciding for us, by oppressing the weaker ones, by taking away possibilities that were given to women around the world, to queer people, to immigrants, to people of color, to indigenous people. All these people have it really difficult. Well, it's an extraction of dignity, but it's an extraction of dignity that extracts from us too, because as we adhere to these governments, or to the representation that they give on us, even against ourselves, I think we get extracted. We get extracted strongly because we can't stand up and say, as a white person, I hate all this. I have nothing to do with this. It's very difficult to be believed or to be believable, because we are in an impossible situation. So I think the question of seduction is really key, because it is a question that is never brought up because the question of dignity is never brought up, because we often quote the Tunisian revolution, whose slogan was dignity before bread, because we are always, how would I say, depicted as people that are more attached to their material privileges than they are to the political principles that allowed for these material privileges to exist and to be conserved. So we don't understand that the real root of our privilege and our wealth, our prosperity, cultural, emotional, political, is not the material assets that we have and that we are afraid to lose, but the political integrity that made us believe in a system that can defend prosperity for everybody. And this is out of fashion. It's terribly out of fashion right now. And it is very important to take distance from also, we believe, the forms of art that echo these, maybe subconsciously, this kind of power by just insisting on the retinal aspect, by pleasing us, by soothing us. We all need to be pleased and consoled, but we have to understand when people are doing it in order to manipulate us and to get power. There is, I will conclude, because I don't know how clear it's been. You can ask questions. I mean, we are many, but not so many. Feel free to interrupt me. What was I going to say? I think, yeah, patriarchy is a specific way of using one's work to get power, right? So the work, even the artwork, is a tool to accumulate wealth and accumulate power over other people. So we joke saying we're the assistants of Claire Fontaine, but artists historically tend to serve their work more than to use their work to serve them. They tend to do everything to make their work better than they are, so that it will survive them. It's how historically arts have existed. And so I think in this relationship with the artwork, there is a seed of a non-patriarchal relationship with things. There is something about care that I think is really resourceful for all of us in this moment, or can be.
So I guess I'm just very of time. So maybe I'll ask one important question about fatherfucker, and on this note, we can conclude and open up to your questions. So you've been working with neon since the very beginning of the creation of Claire Fontaine. One of your first works, or maybe the first work, was Foreigners Everywhere, that then gave the title to the last Venice Biennale. There were absolutely beautiful feminist slogans that you created, such as "Women are the moon that moves the tides," "When women strike, the world stops," "Consent," "Siamo con voi nella notte." So, you know, some of them are quotes from like feminist texts, some of them are your kind of synthesis of feminist thoughts. And then for Mimosa House, we had the privilege to show Fatherfucker, which, when you mentioned the word care, and what we've experienced since the work was mounted, on our facade, street facing, the work is here day and night, is one of the agreements, that the work interrupts, the flow of the public space, of the movement of, and in fact, people stop, they take pictures. Some reactions were quite
violent
and actually, let's call it this way, violent. Like, we did experience, our team experienced some violence from behind the window, thankfully for now. So the work did provoke some strong reactions, and it also made me reflect on the language. And as you said, like, we learn English, James, the other assistant to Claire Fontaine, is a native speaker. You are not, I'm not. So when you told me fatherfucker, I was like, well, for me, it was quite evident that it was like an inversion of motherfucker. So dealing with gender and language, I work with gender quite a lot, with language and gender. But then the reactions we started getting made me realize that people do not get the inversion, but they take the word quite literally. So I just wanted to know how did the work appear? How did the word appeared and kind of descended upon you?
Maybe this work is a world in itself, right? Because yes, words open up possible worlds, and yeah, I think it was an intuition. Like it came to us at the doorstep in the studio, and we were like, "Oh yeah, father fucker." I mean, it was like it came from somewhere else, and we felt we had to make it because this is actually a new work, and it's not supposed to be really new works in this show, but of course, new works push and come, and the artists make them. But Fatherfucker for us has been something that connects strongly to the first question you asked me. It was a way to express the deep subconscious of all of us in this historical moment, where, for example, the sexuality of people in America running the government and having been connected to the Epstein files is questioned. So what is with power and non-consensual sexuality, for example, talking about also what I was saying before about seduction and fascism as a form of seduction, of inappropriate, displaced seduction applied to the political field. So I would say that to talk about this, to tackle this, the sacred, Agamben says interesting things about the sacred, sacred, the Homo Sacer, this book about the origins of the totalitarian power, that is also a lot about the sexual subconscious, the sadistic impulses and stuff. How Sacer sacred means several things. It means holy, but it also means disposable. It was the name for the human that could be sacrificed, because made sacred is being sacrificed. So I think the way the Father is still holy in our heads is unhealthy. I want to say it clearly. It's unhealthy for the fathers, and it's unhealthy for all of us. And I think this violence that can be unleashed is a very healthy and therapeutic one. And we are very fortunate, all of us, to have this space to experiment with our deep feelings that we don't even fully understand, and with the things that are blocked in our culture and cannot be expressed. And this space is precious precisely to protect us from actual violence, because these impulses that we see are impulses that in real life channel directly into physical violence or verbal violence or abuse. So the fact that we are showing it to the world that this happens and this is wrong and this has to end brings fathers to question themselves about their behavior, and they don't want to do that. Why don't they want to do that? This is a conversation we could have, but it's definitely better for everybody, and it's incredibly valuable for us that you've had the courage to let us present this work to the public space, not only to the acquired crowd that is incredible and comes to this place to improve oneself, to open to uncomfortable truths, but delivering uncomfortable truths to everybody is another story, and can meet new challenges. But I think, yes, I'm immensely grateful and immensely cheerful when I see this work from outside. Every time I pass by, it makes me feel lighter and happier, and it gives me faith in change. So I hope it does that to you too.
Yeah. Well, I'm fully joining you in the joy.
Thank you.
And thank you so much, Fully. And please, if you have any questions,
please ask questions, because I have to leave tomorrow, so I'm here now. So
yes, please.
We're so surrounded by like current news. how much of your work is inspired by like what's happening at the moment versus like broader political trends?
I would say that in this particular show, the news polarize sort of existing works and give them different meanings. Like, for example, in particular, I would give you the example of The Flowers of Palestine. That is a work that we really cherish because aesthetically we love the choice of this tufa stone instead of the bricks that we usually use that are more connected to this idea of transforming the book into a weapon that can be thrown as a projectile. Another word that we discussed at length because we're all still learning English here, but it's a fantastic adventure to be in a foreign language. No, seriously, it really is. And foreigners everywhere is about this. This is a parenthesis, being not at home in a language. But yeah, so this work meant something before the ceasefire. It means something else now. It will mean something else by the time the exhibition closes, because probably the ecocide will be also more acknowledged, and the fragility of everything that has been destroyed in this conflict, and in every conflict, as a matter of fact, but in this in particular, because we've been watching a lot of it on social media, will be more better perceived because it will be outside of this polarization of opinions. And so is this work. What does it mean to see in the dark? This amazing book by Nick Mirzoff that is really about sensorial understanding of conflicts. What do they entail on the level of the emotional intelligence and trauma and stuff, and intersection work. This Venn diagram is also a work that will probably shift its meaning through the news, and the way these news are going to get old will also going to affect the way we look at them. And I would say the upstairs also has already changed meaning completely from the first time we've shown it in Bologna in February last year. And and so is this work, that is even these two works in particular. This is a work about Yemen. It's from 2018. It's a witness from prison. It's a testimony from the violence endured in prison, where the genitals of the guard that is about to rape the prisoner have been scribbled and erased before the image circulated. So I think it's interesting to see how things age, artworks in particular, and how our awareness transforms. Because I think what distinguishes art from design is that the artwork talks to us every day. It talks to us, it answers to us. And we always see it differently, even if it's not something handmade, even if it's not a painting, it always has a dialogue with us. I know it because we live, for example, with this work in the studio. And I think this work talks to me every day, and it says different things to me. So I think, yeah, even visiting several times the same exhibition shifts the way we receive it, and we have a dialogue with it. So yeah, thank you for the question. It's
Hi. With the Brickbat series, I think I just had in my mind this question around what it means to. I liked what you said about weaponizing books, literally, and they refer to historical objects that were used. But where do you see art's relationship to actual violence? You know, you probably wouldn't want somebody to pick that up and throw it through.
Oh, no, absolutely. I don't want any of the things that happen in this show, as a matter of fact. That's why they're in the show. No, it's a good question, that too. It's not saying that vandalism is right, or that irreparable, broken things are right. It's dealing with things that exist. So it's a representation that, as a representation of an existing violence, frees us, because we can actually access it. Many of the things we tackle in our exhibitions appear under forms that are the forms of commercial language, because we approach these forms, including these light boxes, for example, that are the same that are used in shops or in airports and stuff, the same technology also with this canvas and stuff. We approach these forms with a habit. We are not guarded because we are used to having them around, but they tell us different things in this form. We inhabit these forms with different contents, with different energies that create a completely unexpected reaction. So the idea is not to wish for something through the artworks, but to create a space where we can actually access affects, emotions, and fears, especially, that we cannot access in the rest of our life. So that's been the role of art for a long time. The paintings we vandalized with the naked women looking at us were an attempt of that to represent subconscious fantasies, and they're still representing them. It's amazing the power they have. It's amazing the power of l'origine du monde and its reproductions. I mean, these things are not scientifically explainable, but they do have an effect on our psyche, and we believe that this effect is empowering. It's empowering because we, again, we get more courage from being able to face what happened in the prisons in Yemen in 2018, rather than just feeling it inside us and suppressing it, because it is inside us too. This is the thing, the idea that what happens around us happens inside us too, as I said in the beginning. This is why we do what we do.
Well, thank you so much, Fulvia.
You're
thank
welcome.
you, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you
so much. Yeah.
If there are more questions,
Yeah,
please feel free. I mean,
and I just want to briefly acknowledge our supporters, which I should have done in the beginning, but Italian Ministry of Culture, who supports this project surprisingly with the father.
That means we are very happy and not saying anything. It's just
because the exhibition is touring. There will be a publication with Moose, so it's quite a big project that's going
to... It's very Italian, yes. Okay. But things can change for the better, even in Italy, in the meantime.
Even in Italy,
things are changing, so
Italian Cultural Institute in London, Arts Council England, Kamel Menor, your gallery, all our amazing Mimosa House patrons, very grateful for your continuous support for 8 years, and World of Women Foundation in Rome, where the exhibition is going to have its second kind of iteration, and The Guardian for providing newspapers in kind. So,
thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.